Shirley.
Good evening. When I first saw seniors stand up here to give their speeches, I was pretty certain that I wanted to give one. I always figured it would be about what I was most passionate about in life, playing music. However, life had other plans for me, and instead, I'm going to speak tonight about what happened to me last year and what I learned from it. The story begins with Ben enjoying a fantastic Brooks breakfast at a table with a couple of friends. But something was off. My legs felt numb, like they were asleep and weren't waking up. I asked the kids at the table if I should go to the health center, but the brain trust said, absolutely not. You will get stuck in the health center all day, you will probably miss sports, and the thought of missing JV2 soccer, way too much for me. So I headed to class. Halfway through first period, I knew something was wrong. I was having trouble balancing without being able to feel my legs beneath me. I started to feel nauseous. I hobbled to the health center, and my parents quickly decided that they were going to pick me up. I asked the boys in the dorm to grab me some stuff. They put together a very well thought out care package, one pair of boxers, one sock, not two, a pair of drumsticks, a t-shirt of a wolf howling at the moon, and a poorly hidden Maxim magazine, which my mom immediately found and threw away. After heading to Beverly Hospital, I brought home a diagnosis of mono. But over the course of the next week, I completely lost the ability to walk, and it became pretty obvious that it wasn't mono. Finally, my family decided to bring me to Children's Hospital of Boston, where my life became startlingly similar to an episode of House. You name the test, and I got it. There's no test that can positive or negative determine Guillain-Barré syndrome. It can only be diagnosed by eliminating all other possible causes. But after a long couple of days of poking and prodding, they were pretty certain. It was Guillain-Barré syndrome, GBS. And unfortunately, it was not as mild as the doctors had hoped. My condition was worsening, and the paralysis was spreading. Guillain-Barré mimics spinal cord injury, and it creates rising paralysis, beginning in the legs, then spreading to the arms, and then working its way into the core. By the time we'd started the second round of treatment, blood plasma transfusions, I'd lost the dexterity to type, to write, to text, and as days passed, I lost the ability to hold my phone and then to lift my arms at all. Life became very surreal. I hadn't slept literally in weeks, and sleep deprivation began to take its toll on me. I began to get intense hallucinations. Ben Seifert visited me, and we had a long, deep conversation while I was convinced that I was floating on an inner tube on a lazy river. GBS, however, was not done yet. One night, the paralysis crept into my core and disabled the muscles responsible for filling my lungs. I'm not entirely sure of everything that happened that night. It's very blurry. But I had to get an emergency chest tube surgery to keep me from suffocating. Waiting for that surgery, while barely able to breathe, essentially flopping like a fish out of water, was the worst experience of my life. I wondered if I was going to die, then and there, on that metal table. And it's hard to describe how sobering it is to actually have that thought in your head. When I woke up, it was something out of a nightmare. I couldn't feel or move from the neck down. I was wearing a breathing mask that prevented me from speaking. I could barely even move my neck to look around. I was trapped, and my lungs were so weak that I came within an hour of needing a trach and being hooked up to a breathing tube. It's always darkest before the dawn. I never got worse than I was that night, and I never did end up getting trached. But I did stay, and that stayed for a week or two. And during that time, when I was helpless, I learned what family and friendship are really about. How profound and valuable relationships are when everything else falls away. Ani visited me during that period, and even though our conversation was very one-sided since I couldn't speak, it still felt like one of the most important talks that I've ever had. During that time, visits and messages kept me alive. The posters that everyone signed at school, balloons sent all the way from Cali from my roommate, the emails, the texts, my brother and sister, and my parents, who never left my side. Slowly, I began to improve. My voice came back, to the point where I could talk through a mic that pretty much made me sound like Darth Vader, which Andrew and Johnny found pretty funny when they came to visit. I slowly gained feeling, and when it was certain that I was at least on the road to recovery, I was turfed to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital. Over the course of a month at Spalding, I learned how to live again, through a lot of hard work and some amazing therapists. It was a very unique time. It's rare that you ever have a single goal in life, but I did then. I wanted to walk. So when I was there, I slept, woke, lived, breathed, and ate once I learned how again, for the sole purpose of walking. When I finally did take those first steps, it was a victory unlike anything that I'd felt before, and anything that I've felt since. The first day, I met another patient in the therapy gym, a 25-year-old chemistry teacher named Scott Kinnery. I grew very, very close to Scott, and for 3 weeks, he was my best friend. Every night, we went to the Dunkin' Donuts in the lobby at 10 and talked about life, and got insight about teacher life from the point of view of a student, and the other way around, and just had deep life talks. And from time to time, we'd play Mario Kart in the rec room, and I'd usually smoke him, but we helped each other. We cheered each other on, and my time at Spalding would have been really different without Scott. I've never been able to track him down again, but I hope he's well, wherever he is. And a week after Scott left, I was able to walk out of Spalding, far from 100%, but months earlier than anybody ever thought I would. And on that very same night, I was able to walk back into this chapel and back into my life. If there's anything that I want people to take away from this speech, any piece of wisdom that I gained from this experience, it's this. It shouldn't take tragedy or something monumental for us to realize just how important our relationships are. Our friends are more valuable to us than anything in life. I realize that now, and some people do, but some people don't think about that, and I think that they should. And don't underestimate your ability to affect people. The slightest 4 or 5 word message moved mountains for me when I was in the hospital. Even just being friendly, a smile, and a wave can change the course of someone's day. When it comes down to it, everything is insignificant except the friends who keep you afloat, and spending time with the people who you're close to is the most important investment you can make, much more valuable than getting good grades or winning games. Because when your back is up against the wall, all the grades and records and championships and drama and gesturing falls away. But your friends, they remain. So this speech is for you guys, my family at home, my family in Thorne, all of my friends, and all the people who keep me going. Thank you.